I'm digging the wallpaper in your background there.
Thank you very much. It seems as if I plastered it for this press junket, but it's actually been up here a while.
Awesome. Well, when this came your way with all of the great messages that this story contains, what most excited you about the project and made you want to do it? Because it's just such a sweet, fun story.
I think ultimately, first and foremost, it's a celebration of Australia. And I was particularly homesick at the time I was sent the script. So I think I just sort of devoured it. And I love that it was sort of like a story about these really unlikely heroes, like a taipan snake and, a spider and a scorpion. And I feel like kind of the creepier characters or creatures rather don't get to be main characters in movies. So that was fun. And also Maddie's a great character.
This film has been described as a love letter to Australia. So, what would you say the film gets right about Australia and the way that it represents Australia?
Um, I think I like to think we Australians are very funny and the film is hilarious. It has a lot of adventure, which one gets when one travels to Australia, and all the incredible landscapes. I think the Outback it's just spot on. And I think that, the fact that it's a cast of kind of Aussies that, I personally am a big fan of, Guy Pearce, Eric Bana, Jackie Weaver, Kylie Minogue. I definitely feel like it kind of gets everything right for me. Yeah.
Is really the only downside of doing something like this the fact that you don't get to work physically alongside all of those people in the cast?
Yeah. I mean, I think the downside too is particularly for comedy that if you have like obviously the other actor in front of you, then you can kind of improvise. And there's a lot of like that communication that's nonverbal where you kind of pick up the other person's cue that they might be about to, do a bit. And you can't really do that obviously when you're on, Zoom. So that would have been the only downside, but I really enjoyed this process. I found Clare and Harry Cripps, our directors, to be very collaborative. And it's just like it's always fun. You get to go into your imagination and play in a character.
Yeah, what was it like working with two directors on this? Do they each bring something different to the project, or were they always on the same page with the project?
They were always on the same page, and there was only twice in all the sessions that I did that either Claire or Harry wanted one more take, one more version for a line. But I feel like they definitely shared the same vision.
At what point did you get to see what Maddie would look like? What was your reaction to seeing her? Does that help your performance at all?
Yeah, so right away I was sent the script and the lookbook for the characters, so I knew how it was going to look, and and I just thought she was so adorable. I couldn't take it. She just was so cute.
Yeah, I mean it's so funny how cute you find yourself going like, oh, these little creatures are so cute when they're supposed to be like so evil and scary. And I mean, I get that's the point of the movie, but they're just adorable.
They're so adorable. But it's nice that it proves that, just because you're different doesn't mean you're not beautiful. And I loved all the messages of, embracing someone's inner beauty and sort of family being who you journey with, not just, who you're born with, and not to judge a book by its cover and to put aside your differences and that home is where the heart is. I thought there were just so many, as a mom, I sort of read the script and thought, oh, this would be a great, a great story to tell, and it would give lots of opportunities for conversations about things that you would want to organically bring up with small people.
What's it like to hear yourself bring an animated character to life? Is it easier to watch an animated movie that you've done than when you do live action movies?
It's so much easier to watch an animated movie because you're not having to look at your own face.
Although sometimes, listening to myself when I have to go back and listen to interviews is not always fun. So I would imagine that has its own.
I'm with you all the way. I don't think there's anybody that likes listening to their voice or seeing their face personally. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's always challenging.
What was it like to get to sing a little song for this too? Was that fun? Was it exciting? Was it scary?
Honestly, it was so terrifying. And I begged Harry and Claire Knight. I said, please, can't somebody else sing this song? It shouldn't be me. I can't sing. I'm going to ruin the movie. And they said, please, Isla. And so I had to record it. And some members of the family that will remain unnamed laughed very hard at my rehearsal process. But I tried to remain courageous like Maddie, and I recorded it. And then when I heard it actually in the movie, I thought, oh, you can't really tell. It sounds fine.
I love that each of these characters have their own quirks and their own insecurities. Personally, do you feel most like Maddie, or do you think you're more like any one of the other characters?
I think growing up as a redhead in Australia with an English accent, I definitely felt like adolescence was, I think, in the same way that Maddie is sort of, Maddie sort of doesn't sort of, it's hard for her to accept her differences at the beginning, because obviously she has, she was conditioned to believe that she was this horrible thing. And then really she grows to learn to love, herself and be empowered by what's on the inside. And I think like, a lot of us who, looked a little different than our peers during adolescence, it's a similar journey to kind of come to a place where you go, yeah, I'm used to my red hair now, and it's what makes me different.
Well, what's next for you? Are you currently working on something? Do you know what the next project is?
I completed a television show called Wolf Like Me, alongside Josh Gad, directed by Abe Forsyth, produced by Made Up Stories. And I believe that's coming out in January. It's a limited series on Peacock. And I play a very unusual character again. So I'm excited for people to see that.
What was the fun of getting to work alongside Josh Gad? Because he seems like he would just bring a lot of fun to every day at work.
Josh brings so much fun to every day. He is the kindest and most, collaborative, fun scene partner. And I really enjoyed working with him.
What do you think life was like for Maddie after this film? Do you think she goes on to embrace both sides of herself, the sweet and the scary side, a little bit better?
I think she ends up acclimating to the Outback and actually becomes pretty wild. I could see Maddie as being someone who finally, being raised in sort of, in captivity since she was an egg, and having a chance to sort of connect with her home country, kind of, having a lot of fun. Let's just say that.
From the first time that you read this script until the finished project that we see now, was there any standout story or character changes along the way, or did things stick pretty close to what you first read?
I feel like the relationship between Pretty Boy and Maddie actually evolved a lot during the course of us shooting this. I know that moment in the Blue Mountains where they kind of have developed empathy for each other, and Maddie realizes that in order to have somebody accept her for who she is, she needs to extend the same to him and truly understand what his experience is as, being so beautiful and sort of being treated, being judged for his outside exterior like she is instead of their interior. And I think that scene and their relationship was definitely something that seemed to grow deeper as we worked on the story.
Do you think he'll also be changed now? He won't go back to his old ways after this experience with her?
Yeah, I think that even though Pretty Boy will always be a sort of spoiled celeb who's dependent on how many likes he gets on Instagram, I think now he sees others for who they really are. Through his relationship with Maddie and their friendship, and because he's equally trapped and kind of marginalized, but on the other end of the spectrum. And I think that once he's seen through that window into her experience, I'm sure he'll be a different koala bear moving forward.
Are you somebody who normally, how do you normally feel about these kinds of snakes and spiders and scorpions, these sorts of things? Are you someone who is curious or terrified?
I will just tell you now, I can't even hear the word spider without getting the heebie-jeebies. I recently stayed in a house in Australia where a mummy spider gave birth to many, many, many spiders, and they covered the ceiling of my bedroom, and it was definitely not the most fun time. Let's just say that.
No, I would have burned down the building. So thank you. Thank you so much for talking to me about this.
Thank you.